Dynamite? That ring a bell?
Yeah.
Is that a story? I don't know. Maybe it's a story you talked about.
Yes. He wants to know that story?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I get a phone call that I'm being come down to Bloomfield Avenue. I used to the two fellas that answered to Louis Red. I was with Louis Red. Louis Gatto was he was a capo in the Genovese crew from Patterson. He was
very powerful.
Dynamite. He was powerful. He was a dynamite guy. Yeah. He was old school. You didn't go to a sit down without first. You had to eat the bread. You had to cut. You had to break bread. You had to eat the pasta. You had to drink the wine, and you had to have your cup of espresso before you could talk the purpose for being in your business. Now, I get a phone call. I go to see JR and Frankie Shadows. They were two of Louis Red's guys. And they said, come on, you're going to spend a day with us. And we go to one place, another place. It took us 4 or 5 places before we finally get to the final place, which was an Italian restaurant called the Sicilian on 2nd Avenue, 19th Street. Walked in, and everybody in that place that day was a mob-connected guy, either with Gambinos or with the Genovese. And I was told, sit at your table with the Genovese guys, all right? Everybody, first of all the bodyguards were for both sides were at the bar. Anybody that showed up that day to eat was told that it's a private affair, and it's reserved for the day or for the afternoon. And sure enough, I was sent to sit at the Genovese table until I was to be called. Now, what it was a monstrous sit down between Genovese and the Gambinos, and who was monitoring the afternoon was Sammy the Bull.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first time and only time I ever met him. And my guy, JR, says to me, you're going to meet Sammy the Bull. He was a dynamite guy, this young fella. And sure enough, we had you waited. They would take, first of all, the guys that dealt with garbage, the guys with concrete, the guys with the longshoremen, the guys, the unions, everything was to resolve problems. Your question from your listener about Sammy is I think he really wants me to go a little bit further in explaining.
We're here. Let's do it. And okay. I'm actually really interested.
So it really shows the genius of the organization. It's called organized crime, but you had guys sitting there. First of all, on our side of the table, I sat. Interestingly, I sat on the side with the Gambino side, while my guy Louis Red was opposite of me, and all of the high-ranking members of the Genovese were on the other side. A fella on the end of the table that was asking me what my reason for being there was Jimmy Fiala, Jimmy Brown, who became the acting boss of the Gambino. By the way, that wasn't the first time I met Jimmy Brown, Jimmy Fiala. He was a fabulous personality. I loved that old man. I had 2 sit-downs with one. We had one dispute with one individual from his crew a couple of years prior, and it was held at the Angelo's on Mulberry Street.
Oh, yeah.
It was in the back room of Angelo's on Mulberry Street.
I had a birthday party in that back room.
Back room was specifically reserved for sit-downs. So at the second sit-down, because we didn't get the problem resolved in the first sit-down, Jimmy Brown said, let's clean it all up. Let's get the slate all resolved. And he said something to the guy's name was Tony. I'm not going to go into any details, but he said, all right, tell him, all right, I've been using your technicians, your slot technicians. I said, for heaven's sakes, Tony, why don't you